How'd you become that guy?
You know what? I grew up not that guy.
Yeah.
So a lot of people put a title on me. They want to, they see me now. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off, who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point. And what got me to this point was I was just the opposite of what I am today. I was that guy who ran away from absolutely everything that I got in front of me. But not many people knew that. I had two people. Like the real me was like this very scared, insecure, stuttering, got beat up by his dad, all this kind of stuff. And then I built this fake person that walked around like my shit didn't stink, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I did it. And through a process of time, I realized that I was lying to myself and lying to people.
But it's a fascinating journey, though, because you are that guy now.
Right.
I mean, you genuinely are a legit badass.
Right.
And at one point in time, you were a legit terrified person.
Yes.
So what was the process? Like, how did you step forth?
Well, it's a long process.
Right.
In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life, I was afraid. But I had this voice, this conscience, that would always be battling me, saying, hey, you got to get up and do something. I didn't want to do shit. You know, I was just afraid, but that voice would force me to get up. So when I went to school, I was all kind of, you know, my learning disability, I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid. When I was about 8 years old, we moved to a small town in Brazil, Indiana, and that's when the real war started for me. And Brazil, Indiana is a small town. Great people, a lot of great people. And I say that because a lot of people get offended. And I'm going to get to the point why they get offended. There was about maybe 10 black families at about 10,000 people in the town. And in 1995, the KKK marched in the 4th of July parade. So this was not everybody was racist. There was a lot of good people. Some of the best people I knew was there, but there was also a lot of racism there. So me being one of the few black kids in that area, you know, it kind of haunts you. I had stuff on my notebook, you know, we're going to kill you. On my Spanish notebook, they had that on my car, we're going to kill you. This is early 90s. And so even though I showed it didn't hurt me, it was jacking me up. So all the insecurities I had when I was a kid with my father, I moved into this area here, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And it haunted me. And that voice that I talked about, it kept talking louder and louder and louder, but I was doing nothing about it. And I decided to make moves.
I don't think you need to be tough versus smart. I don't think it needs to be tough or smart. I think you need to be tough and smart.
Right.
I don't think those two traits are mutually exclusive at all. And being tough and being smart is actually what we want. So when we think of tough, I think we think of using blunt force to solve a problem. Right. And you might think that using blunt force to solve a problem is stupid. And at the same time, you might think that stepping back from a problem and taking a look or stepping back away from it might be giving up. So you're weak. Or you're not tough. But there are times when those options are the best options. There's sometimes when blunt force is the best option. And you just got to power through, and you got to be tough, and you got to get over the hurdle or over the obstacle or through the obstacle through blunt force trauma. And there's other times where the best possible thing you could do is step back and quit beating your head against the wall and trying to blunt force through something. You want to step back and find another way. You want to be smarter, not harder. And I think, again, this comes out to balance. And people pushing when it's a good time to push and a good time to be tough, and at the same time knowing that you need to balance that with being smart. And the only way you're going to be able to do that, the only way you're going to be able to figure out if you're just being too smart or not smart enough, or too tough or not tough enough, is to be able to detach and step back and look and assess the situation. If you get too in the weeds on it, You won't be able to see that, hey, you've beat your head against the wall 47 times. That's enough. Stop. Step back and find another way. Just like if you're so engrossed in solving the problem and finding the perfect solution and finding the least impact way through the smartest resolution, if you don't step back from that, you might not see that if you wait any longer on your brilliant plan, you're going to be overrun by the problem itself. So being smart and being tough are not mutually exclusive. You need to be both, and the way that you balance them is by stepping back, detaching, and always doing an assessment of what's happening.
Mediocrity feels so good. So we love surrounding ourselves with mediocre people. They give us a get out of jail free card. Whenever life gets hard for us, they tell us it's all okay. Don't worry about it. We don't want to surround ourselves with those people out there who are getting the after it every day, holding us accountable, making us feel uncomfortable. People who are challenging us at every turn of life. Those people scare us. That's exactly where you need to be in your life, with those people who put you in a world of questioning who you are. That's exactly where you want to go. That's exactly where you grow.
So, who do I use as a standard to measure myself by? It's really everyone and no one. Because look, there's people in the world that have skills and strength and talent that I will never have. I won't. I mean, some of these notions that you can be whatever you want to be as long as you want it bad enough, those are not true. They're fairy tales. We all have limitations. And I don't have the right genes to be an Olympic weightlifting champion. I don't have the right genetics to be an Olympic champion sprinter or a gymnast or whatever sport you want to name. Now, sure, if I trained my whole life, perhaps I could have achieved some high level in those sports, but I can tell you I do not have the DNA to be the best in the world in those categories. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that I give up? Does that mean that I quit? Of course not. Not at all. It means that I'm gonna try to be the best that I can be. The strongest, the fastest, the smartest. The smartest human that I can become. That's what I'm gonna go for. And I will compare myself to others and look at them and see what they're doing, and I'll say that it is possible. How close can I get to that greatness? How close can I get to that glory? But the reality is that my glory, it doesn't happen in front of a crowd. It doesn't happen in a stadium. It doesn't happen on a stage. There's no medals handed out. My glory happens in the darkness of the early morning, in solitude, alone.
That's what it is.